Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rockies Now podcast. We are an official Colorado Rockies podcast, and I am joined today by, let me introduce myself. This is episode 105. I am one of the co-hosts, Tom, and joining me just with me tonight is our co-host, Chris. Chris, how you doing this evening?
Doing phenomenal, man. I mean, spring training is up and running. Everyone's here. So it's a good week to be a baseball fan. It's a good week to be alive.
And of course, the first game is near. It's only a couple days away, too.
I know we have baseball this week, an actual game. Can you believe this, dude?
It's back in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, people are saying, oh, it's just there's still reasons, as we've talked about, we'll talk about more. There's still reasons to be optimistic, even coming off a 119 loss season. There's new excitement. As you alluded to on our last episode, leadership can have more of an impact than you think, which I do wholeheartedly agree with you. So anyway, let's jump right into it. So today's first topic, we're going to talk about two players specifically, one of which is a pitcher, one is a position player. We'll start with the pitcher. So as you know, Seth Halverson back in August of the 2025 season, he had a bit of an injury that we are waiting for an update on. I know that the Rockies, it appears, are trying to keep all the updates when it comes to Seth Halverson internal. Chris and I for about the last hour have been trying to find anything where there's any news updates from any like Thomas Harding, any beat writers. We haven't found anything specifically, so it seems like the Rockies are keeping this tight-lipped and just basically zipping up their lips, locking it, and throwing away the key. So, metaphorically speaking. Anyway, so but he did, we shared on our pages today, Seth was throwing. He seemed to be throwing I believe it was a slider or a curveball, had some break on it. Chris, based on that, and what do you think? I mean, looks like he's progressing well, I suppose.
Yeah, bro, I am so in on Seth Halverson now. And I know last week I said I don't think I want him on the opening day roster. I walked back through it. I walked back through the man himself, took a look at his profile again, and actually, I think I'm going to change my mind. I think I do want Seth on the 26-man to open spring training, to open the regular season too, I guess. But he's just got so much incredible late inning potential for this team, and he even showed that last year also. But it's just good to see that he's back and that he's healthy. He's got that power fastball, of course. He's got a really nice splitter. I think that's his best pitch. And then he's got that slider, all of which he can dominate upper arm side and upper glove side with. And so for that reason, I mean, he's going to be out there competing with Victor for the 9th inning role out of spring. So I think that fits really nicely with what the Rockies need out of the bullpen. And so I'm super excited to see him compete, hopefully for that opening day 26-man spot.
Well, to your point there, his 3-pitch mix, of course, he used his split finger fastball 25.8% of the time last year. So clearly it is, and only his least used pitch, the slider, only 19.8% of the time. As you point out, he does have that heavy fastball, which he is ranked in the top percentile in 100 percentile in Major League Baseball. His ground ball rate is actually higher than I expected. He's actually in the upwards of the 90th percentile. I didn't realize it was that. For him, it was that high. I mean, maybe I'm just not. I didn't notice it, but given the fact of the fastball. But to your point, you don't want to go too high because then the hitter won't swing. But you don't want to leave it up there to the point where the hitter can crush it, especially at Coors Field. So. And of course, he's in the 85th percentile when it comes to whiff rate. So either way, both ground balls and whiff rate, he is an arm that that hopefully we can utilize a lot this season.
Yeah, and if he takes some steps forward, I think a lot more of that whiff will turn into strikeouts, because it's kind of strange that he's so high in whiff and at the same time is like 30-somethingth percentile in strikeout rate. And so he has the 3 pitches all in distinct locations. And so I mean, it's a good fit for this bullpen, especially considering we need those guys that throw that hard velo. Of course, we're not the largest fans of the 4-seam fastball here, at least on my end. But if you're throwing it at 100, 101 miles an hour, it doesn't really matter at that point how it moves. You're just going to blow it right by people. So, I mean, he's exciting. And see, now I'm having conflict because I'm not sure if I'd rather have Vodnik or him as the closer to open the year. I know I said Vodnik last week. I've been pretty consistent about that. But if you had to pick, Tom, Vodnik or Halverson to open the year as the official closer, assuming they're not going to do the silly thing of sharing the closing duties?
I'd go Vodnik. I made it clear on the show, he's my guy. I was a fan of his when we got him from the Atlanta Braves. Again, let me rephrase. I'll even add to your point. If both were 100% healthy and you had to pick one or the other right now, one's the closer, one's the setup man, I'd go with Vodnik as the closer and Halverson for now as a setup man. And if you can do that, because we talked about on the previous episode, finding set roles. Let's not have, okay, you're the closer this day, you're one this day, then you're here, here, and there. Let's try and find set roles at this point. I'm sure Warren Schaefer wants that. But again, so my personal one, Vodnik, would you still stick with that one as you said in the last episode, or would you change it to Halverson? I mean, if he was 100% healthy, that is.
Assuming they're both healthy, I think I would still stick with Vodnik, because in that ninth inning rule, you do want guys who can strike people out. You do want guys who limit barrel rate. And right now, at this point in their career, Vodnik is better at doing both of those than Halverson is, even though Halverson throws a tad bit harder. Vodnik can obviously touch 100, but I mean, right now, they're very similar pitchers with the mix that they have, and Vodnik has a more closer build established already. And so for that reason, I think I'll stick with my pick of Vodnik to open the year as the closer.
Fair point. I mean, the only blunder that I really ever witnessed on live TV with Vodnik, I think this was the 24 season. It was at home. I believe it was against one of our division rivals. Vodnik had a 3-run lead. He got into some trouble by allowing 2 walks, and before you know it, whomever the other team was ended up walking off the game. So that's the only time where he just didn't have his stuff, and as he kept missing his spots, he just kept getting more frustrated. And then, of course, whoever it was, the other team just took advantage of that, because when you give great teams extra outs, they'll hurt you. So,
yeah, my most memorable bad Victor Vodnik moment, not necessarily that I like that, but you remember the game in 2024? It was the Dodgers. It was here. We were winning late, and he had I think he had the bases loaded. Teoscar Hernandez was at the plate. It was 3-2. He threw a beautiful pitch. The umpire called it a ball, something like that. The count was close to 3-2. Maybe it was 2-2. And then the very next pitch was 100 right down the middle of the plate, and Teoscar hit like a game-tying or game-leading home run. And then Jake Cave absolutely lost his mind after the game. Remember that?
I was about to say, when you were done, Jake Cave absolutely blew a gasket. He was red in the face like a tomato.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was great. Well, it wasn't great, but it was great for that reason.
I remember Jake, we talked about this either back when that happened, or we brought it up before. Cave, I thought, was going to probably end up doing something he would later regret if he got too much in the umpire's face. Someone held him back because he was in right field. If memory serves me correctly, he obviously screamed, then he darted in. Somebody intercepted him to make sure he didn't like I said, bump the umpire or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, I forgot Vodnik was the pitcher. And of course, like you said, people don't think bad calls don't have an impact. Oh, they have impacts, whether it's on the bases or at the plate in the strike, in or out of the strike zone. They have impacts because, again, you don't want to give great teams like the Dodgers extra outs or an extra pitch.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, man, especially not at Coors Field with that lineup. So,
oh my God, I can't imagine how some of the, how people were fuming in the stands. I wasn't there, and I don't think you were either, but still.
Nope. No, I was not. I watched it live on TV though. That was not fun.
I think Jake Cave spoke for all of us in the ballpark at home. So
yeah, exactly, man.
So again, we're going to keep our ears to the news on this, and we're going to keep trying to see any updates on Seth Halverson when the Rockies let us know. They're pretty good at keeping things in-house, so I don't expect it's going to just leak, but we'll have to wait and see. So keep you tuned in to Rockies Now. We'll update you when we hear something, and hopefully we hear something soon as games get underway. Maybe they'll just all of a sudden, hey, he's pitching today, so I'll let you know. Anyway. All right, Now let's move on to some more interesting news that pertains to a position player. So as we know, Zach Veen has shown up. He looks different. I mean, just a little different, don't you think? Just a little bit?
Just a tad bit.
Just a tad bit.
I might
Yeah.
not be able to tell the difference if I saw both of them in the room at the same time. There's barely any difference at all.
I tried to come up with a good we tried to come up with a good analogy in the pre-show meeting. He went from being like what would you call, like the size of Hawkeye to the size of the Incredible Hulk, if that's a good analogy. I don't know if that's a good one. So but yeah, so last year's roster, Zach Veen was listed at 190 pounds. He's reportedly put on 40 pounds, so he's now up to around 230. He clearly, it's noticeable. Obviously, if you do a before and after of last season to this season, mixed side by side, it's a. I don't know. Chris and I were talking. I don't think I've seen him hit yet. I've only been seeing him take outfielders. Chris, you said you saw him hit a little, right? Did you?
Yeah, there's a video online of him taking an at bat against Brennan Bernardino. So I saw that.
Any ones out of the park?
Yeah, well, see, he takes one swing. I think he swung and missed at the first two pitches, and then he hit one. It looked like it went fair, but I think it was foul because then he got another pitch, and I think he struck out. So, I mean, lefty, right? But man, he looks huge in the batter's box. Like, my goodness. I mean, and so that's kind of the thing with him, right? Because coming out of high school, he was projected to be a pretty decent power threat throughout his potential professional career, assuming that there would be longevity there. And it just really hasn't shown up so far in his career, which has kind of been concerning. He's been a lot faster than I think people thought he would be. But to see him coming into spring this year, just with this new build, it seems like he's ready to commit to being the player that the Rockies drafted him to be in 2020, a guy who is primarily a power guy. This is the build that he has now, which is exciting to see, at least I think. What do you think about his new build?
Well, to go along with your talks about he obviously only has one home run in 12 games at the major league level, but in the minor leagues in 436 games, he only has 51 home runs. To your point about having probably average to above average power, I would think what his grade was. Well, the good news is you can definitely tell it's his whole body. He didn't always put the masses all in his upper body, and his legs are really very, very skinny, like some people tend to do sometimes. Don't focus on leg day. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I mean, clearly he's put in the work. There's a lot of people out there on the internet, and whether you go to X, Instagram, Facebook, or even just any blog, it don't matter. People are taking notice, obviously, because how can you not see it? I'm not gonna make any speculation because one thing we talked about, he finished the season in AAA. He played 90 games, and he went to, as you point out, he went to the Arizona Complex League for 3 games. So he played a full season. So it's not like he was dismissed and started his off-season training early. Clearly, he was very disciplined when it was diet, how many calories he consumed, and the training he got done. Clearly, if you evenly distribute the weight gain, it's about 10 pounds per month of the off-season. I'm impressed. I'll say I'm impressed. It's not that easy to pack on that much weight in a time. I just hope he focused also on flexibility, because when you put on that much muscle over your bones, it tends to have issues with your elasticity of the muscles. So I hope he maintained good flexibility, because, one wrong, backswing on a swing there, he can probably just pull a back, pull a shoulder, or even have issues with his obliques. So again, I'm impressed. We'll see how it translates to the batter's box. I would hope also I'm sure he did film study and worked on his swing, was in the cage every day. Impressive, but again, I keep using that word. So again, we'll see how it translates to in the batter's box, and also his athleticism in the outfield, because I would say, I'm just going to look it up real fast if I have it here. He's played the most time in the minor leagues in right field, as opposed to very little, a few games in center and just a handful in left. But he's played the bulk of his minor league time in right field. So maybe that's his long term if he gets up here, because right now he's currently blocked by a couple guys.
Yeah. I mean, right field is probably where he'd end up. Right. So, I don't know what his arm strength is. That didn't really register anywhere online that I looked, but I'm sure it went up with how jacked he is now. And so, like you said, he's also put on that muscle everywhere. And so I think he might lose some speed, perhaps, But overall, he's a good looking corner outfielder. And so if he can hit for power now, also, assuming he's fixed some of the technical things with his swing, which is priority, that is a very interesting guy to watch here in spring training. Obviously, we thought he had a chance to make it out of spring last year. Didn't happen that way. But there's some pretty good outfield competition this year. And he finds himself probably closer to the bottom of the list of the guys we're going to talk about later on this episode when we do our outfielders preview in terms of priority, most likely to make the 26 man. But I mean, he provides an interesting element now. I mean, with that power and with that speed, I mean, he's about that age where you really do have to see what you have with him. So it'll be very interesting to see what Zach can put together this spring.
Yeah, and just to add to your speed point, in his minor league career, again, 436 games total across all levels. He, as I mentioned, has 51 home runs. He has 149 stolen bases. So, he is known for having some, not Jake McCarthy speed, obviously, but close, good enough to keep an eye on him. But again, I'm not sure with the larger man over there first. I don't think pitchers are going to pay too much attention to him now. So, again, I will see. As far as we know, he has not been reported to have any off-season injuries lingering or anything from last season. I don't think he had any surgeries I really don't think he had any surgeries at all, considering that he probably spent most of his time in the weight room. Sorry, if Zach, I'm not trying to rag on you too much. I'm sure if you're checking X, Instagram, or any social media feeds, or maybe some blogs, you're seeing all kinds of people saying, what we're saying. Everyone's speculating. What did he do? Just a reminder, he did submit to a drug test when he showed up, like all players do. So, I'm not going to say anything either, but we'll leave it there. So again, I'm just going to wait to see what results this. I think we're both going to just wait and see what results this yields. Maybe it's good. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think he had I'm trying to find his scouting rate. I think he was a 40 to 50 grade arm, I think, somewhere around there. So we have a first comment from our trusty co-host, Sarah. So I'll put up on the screen here. Sarah says, for those who are listening to the episode, after the weight game and going back to the natural hair for him and McCarthy they look like brothers.
Yeah. They really do actually. They because Zach now has the bigger head too. He had the thin head last year with the defined jawline. Now this year he has a big old Jake McCarthy looking head, which is pretty dope.
Did he show up? Did he show up with a hair color? I didn't see a hair color on him. He had purple last year.
Yeah, he has his natural hair. Everything is normal with Zach Veen this year, which is absolutely crazy. Except for him, his physical self now is not normal, but everything else is. It's not him trying to be arrogantly confident. It's him actually just showing up confident in who he has built himself into over the last few months this offseason, which is really cool. That's something I saw people note, that he looks like a very confident player this spring so far. It's only been a few days, but the way he carries himself around the complex is very different. He feels and looks like a guy who is in charge of himself and can be responsible in all the drills and a responsible teammate as well in the clubhouse. So he's got an actual confidence this year. That hair last year, that whole vibe is I'm trying to stand out. I'm trying to be cool, but this year it's actually authentic. So it's cool to see.
I guess we could say with us confirming he has just his natural hair color and he's clearly gained weight. I guess this is him trying to show I'm serious about this, I suppose.
Yeah, he's locked the heck in. That's for sure, dude. Oh my goodness.
Do you think a fun game they might be playing is bench press contest in the weight room?
Yeah, I mean, who else in the current Rockies clubhouse has a chance to outbench him right now? Is there a more jacked Rocky right now than Zach?
We can rule one guy out. We know who that is because we won't say his name or his initials. I think everyone knows who we're talking about. Let me see. Based on, I don't know. In terms of body size, I don't know. Based on, what about? I'm throwing a picture out there. What about RJ Pettit?
That's exactly who I was going to say. Yeah. Thank you very much.
He's listed at 300 pounds, 6'8", 300 pounds. That's a big man.
He probably can. I think he's probably the only one.
That's close to offensive. That's basically offensive lineman right there.
Yeah. Well, how about McCade Brown?
Let me see. What's he listed at?
McCade is pretty big.
Let me check. Let me see if I can. where he's at the top of the list. He's listed at 6'6", 225. So a little lighter, but he's still tall.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Within
I mean,
5.
Jordan Beck is also listed at 225, so that's the next one. Halverson's 225. Oh, Jaden Hill, 234. Remember, he's a big guy from Alabama. So
Jaden Hill. Yep, there you go.
I think he had offers to play college football, not Division One. I think he had Division II college football offers, I believe. I think. I could be wrong. But he did go. Didn't he go to LSU, I think? Wasn't he?
Yeah, Jaden Hill did.
That's what I thought. Yeah, good old. I don't think he was teammates with Paul Skeens, though.
No, I think he was a little bit earlier. Because Paul transferred there from Air Force his junior, senior year, something like that.
That's right. I forgot about that. He clearly knows how to make things fly through the air.
He certainly does.
That's true. Dudes didn't catch that little pun on throwing a baseball.
That was nice.
Anyway, so let's also bring Sarah back into the fold. Sarah has, I saw a post on X. Zach looks like he ate Zach Veen after he bench pressing Zach Veen for a year straight. He couldn't. It's maybe he ate 3 Zach Veen of the old Zach Veens.
Yeah, bro. Whatever. Okay, just philosophically here, right? How on earth does one manage to put on 40 pounds in 4 months?
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
That's just, is that even possible humanly? I mean, apparently it is, but dude.
Well, I do remember when Barry Bonds had his big transformation when he went from Pirates to Giants. It was either in his inaugural offseason when he joined the Giants, or it might have been after his first year with the Giants. He put on somewhere between 20 and 30. Again, this is back in the in the 90s here. So nutrition and a lot of training was different than it is now. Things have evolved. He put on somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds. So, and he had Greg Anderson. Again, we know his affiliations with Balco, but putting that aside, he did have Greg Anderson, who had a reputation of being, the train insane mentality. So clearly it's possible. Man, I mean, Zach Levine is proof of it. So, but I know for just putting aside some unsavory methods that we all are thinking, I know, of course, you have to be strict with your diet. You have to consume about, I would say he's probably consuming around at least 5,000 calories a day, maybe a little more. And then, of course, you have to stick to your routine. Obviously, you have to stay hydrated because some of that is a little bit of that is a little extra or less water weight. So clearly, I couldn't find who he trains with in the what team he trains with in the off season, but again, we'll see how this translates to when he steps in the batter's box and puts on full BP.
Yeah, man, it'll be very exciting to see. I just cannot wait for him to connect with some,
especially Coors Field, and even also because Petco's fairly favorable with lefties. San Francisco's not. Well, except for Barry Bonds, lefties, because no park could hold Barry Bonds. That's different. But at Coors Field, over that wall, it's favorable if you can get one in the air. That's where his only home run was, by the way, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was against the Nationals, I think. Yeah,
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, dude, okay. So, well, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say one more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Imagine if Zach has like a breakout year this year. I know we kind of did our win total prediction last week. How much would a 2.53 WAR season for Zach Veen shift your win total prediction?
Maybe add a win or two on top of it. I know again 2.5. Well, I know 2.5 again. I can't just take 2.5 WAR and add 2 or 3 wins, maybe 4 wins on that. That's not how I see it, because there is some. When you look at a player's impact, the situation in which he hits a home run or has a big hit with 3 men up, with the bases loaded, or 2 men on, at most, I could definitely see them adding, again, assuming everybody plays up to par, some a little past their expectations, you could add maybe a couple more, assuming that some teams fall further than others. The Padres, wink, wink. I just don't got a good feeling about that. I don't have a good feeling about them. And AJ probably gets again, we don't need this is not a Padres podcast, and AJ probably gets an extension, even though he just shed some payroll. But to answer your question, you could at most add 5 more wins I could see onto there. Again, pending Because I don't think the Dodgers are going to win 100 games. They're going to win the division, but I don't see them winning 100 games.
Yeah.
They only
for
won,
sure.
what, 92, 93 last year? So,
I think, it was like 94 or something like it.
it's clearly not going to be a run up. And I'm not trying to make light of the guys. Some of the guys are getting older. Betts is getting older. Freeman's getting, even though Freeman has supplemented his power with more contact and more walks, his lack of power, that is. But, and I understand why I understand Mookie was drafted as a shortstop, and you got to preserve his legs as much as you can. And shortstop seems to be the best avenue to do that. But I loved him as right fielder. I just did.
Yeah,
But
I know, I did too.
But to answer your own question, what's your official? What do you think?
Ooh, man. Okay, well, maybe I should specify more. What if we
Sure.
get a 270 average, 25 home run, 15 stolen base season from Zach Veen?
What about RBIs? What do you say? 60, 70 range? 60, 70 range?
75.
Okay. What about OPS? What do you say he's at?
OPS, man.
Hmm.
What if you get 805?
Oh man, that changes a lot.
Okay.
Last question. How many doubles does he get? Well, give me a double number real quick.
How many doubles does he get? Let's say he gets 25 doubles.
Because you put one in the gap at Coors Field, and if he still has some speed left, he can leg one out.
Yeah.
Just don't pull a hamstring.
Don't do that, Zach.
Knock on wood, please. Don't, please. I don't want to deal with soft tissue injuries, please. Enough.
No, please no. But okay, so imagine a world where he dominates spring. He earns a starting spot in right field or something over Tyler Freeman, over Jake McCarthy, and just has that kind of year. To answer my own question there, it maybe makes us a low 70 win team, because I already had us at 60. I guess that's pretty much the same answer you gave, right? An additional 3-4 wins.
My win total was around 62, 63, whatever it was, somewhere around that general range. But to answer your question, I can see your prediction coming true for sure, but my reserve more opinion, I would go 66 to 68 wins. Maybe you crack the 69 mark. I just don't see a cracking set. Yours, either one can come true, but I would say if I had to put an exact number, I'm going to go 68 wins.
68 is solid. Okay.
I go 68. I go 68 with an average. So
like that. Okay.
It puts us under the 100 loss threshold either way. So
it does, and it puts Zach Veen on the map.
Plus, it puts us on the map because we went from 43 wins to 60, high 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
Then people are going to say Rockies are comeback team of the year. So maybe we'll have a comeback player of the year too, like Tovar, Zach Veen, who knows?
Brendan Doyle.
Okay, that cannot forget him. You cannot forget him. By the way, if you haven't seen it on our YouTube channel so far, we have up home run highlight videos for Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, and Mickey Moniak. Hunter Goodman is still coming. We're working on that one. That one will be up soon, but go check those out at the Rockies Now YouTube channel if you haven't already. Okay, move on to our next segment. And new spring training news, obviously the Chris Bryant, we'll just touch this real fast, I suppose. Chris Bryant did give an interview, brief a little bit. He's just talking about times and tough. He's doing what he has to do. I mean, got to give the guy credit. He's trying, but trying can only get you so far. As I said before, I'm not counting much on him. Chris, you got any thoughts too? I mean, what do you think?
No, the dude can't get out of bed without being hurt. Literally, like that. We used to joke about that in comment sections, and now it's actually true. So I guess sorry for that, Chris. I guess it's our fault. But
he's living like an NFL player, because NFL players have trouble not getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just how, at a personal level, that's just how bad it is for him right now. I don't really see him playing much, if at all, this year, because the timetable on this is what? It doesn't seem like anyone knows. And even when he is healthy the last few years, he hasn't been good. And so I'm not really sure there's an incentive to rush him back or even to get him back necessarily as soon as possible, if at all. It should just be the priority to get him healthy so he can just do life like a normal person again without the pain. So I don't really see him being part of the plans for the future. Whether they release him or not, I guess is up to them. Maybe they have some contract stuff that they're working through with like insurance, because contracts that size usually have insurance, right? And so maybe there's something like that going on, but he's just not going to be part of the fold anywhere, outfield, first base, what have you. But what do you think about that whole situation?
Well, just to reiterate for everybody, in 4 years, he's only played 170 games in 4 years. The most he's played was 80 in 2023. He's only hit 17 home runs for us in 4 years. So if chronic back injuries are a killer for any professional athlete, your back is vital, whether you play football, basketball, baseball, soccer, don't matter. I think just like Anthony Rendon recently did agree, he and his agent Scott Boras did agree with Artie Moreno and the Angels on a buyout settlement where he will get paid the guarantee money just over several few years. Chris Bryant is owed $81 million base guaranteed minimum over the next 3 years. I think I've talked about this before. At some point, I'm sure they've already had these discussions with Chris and Scott Boras, who is also Chris Bryant's agent, just like Anthony Rendon. They've got a plan. Okay, if we cut him this time, this is the structure for the payouts. If we have him this time, I'm sure they've got multiple queued up. If they cut him this year, next year, or in 2 off seasons, there's a plan in motion. I think I don't even think Chris Bryant knows what his future health is. I'm not sure his doctors have much of a clue either. It may be just a little bit of a hint of it. So I think we're just waiting. This, I think, is the last hurrah. If he can't get on the field, they're going to agree to some form of a buyout plan that pays him not over 2, 3 years, but over, let's say, 5 or 7 years. So the amount paid by the Rockies each year is lower just a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully they get that sorted out.
Yeah, he's not taking up a roster spot right now because he is officially on 60-day IL. Real quick from Sarah. So our comment from Sarah, if he were to have surgery, it would be at least 2-year recovery. So he hasn't had surgery recently then. At least I guess none of us saw that. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a big story. And of course, we'll just have to see how it plays out. So in other news, I came across an article. Jordan Beck has really been focusing on his offense. Of course, he had a nice year last year. I mean, he was third on the team in home runs. He was productive. He shows he can be at least average to slightly above average in left field. So I understand, again, Tennessee product from just like the Hall of Famer Todd Helton. I'm sure he wants to join that class, not the same class as Todd Helton is, not go to the Hall of Fame, but I know he wants to have a productive career. Again, just like I'm sure Chase Dollander, another Tennessee product, does. So, I mean, he's working, it says here in the article, he's working a lot on visualization, which is good. You want to see success, build confidence, which of course for a young player is vital to actually producing good results. I mean, I have him in left field. What do you think, Chris? What's your opinion on anything about Jordan Beck between last season to this season?
Well, I guess that's kind of getting into our last segment there, isn't it?
Oh, well, I'm just, yeah, well, I guess we'll talk in that later, but that's like just based on any truth.
The spoiler version is that I'm really excited for Jordan Beck getting a full year. He played a lot more games than I thought he did last year, actually. I didn't realize he played something like 148 games in 2025.
I think he was either first or second on the team in games played, I believe.
Yeah. And so, I mean, opening day left fielder. So I expect him to take some good steps in 2026. He was really good when he got recalled from Albuquerque last year. And so he's got at least 2 tools right now, maybe 3 if you were to throw in the arm strength. It's kind of like 69th percentile-ish, so it's above average, but he's a solid left fielder. We'll get into it some more a little bit later on, but I like him to lock the left field spot down. I'd be surprised if anyone out-dueled him for that starting spot in spring. And so I think, in my current opening day lineup, like I mentioned a few weeks ago on, I think it was Hoops and Homers, and even maybe last week, I have him as my cleanup hitter right now in my mock lineup. And so I like him there. he hits the fastball well. And so I can't wait to dive on into him in a little bit more detail later on.
And then there's also Ezekiel Tovar has talked about he's trying to put injury plague 2025 behind him. Obviously, as you know, 2 off seasons ago, he signed the 7-year extension that's good till 2030 with a team option for 2031. He did obviously, 153 games in 2023, 157 in 2024. He led the National League in doubles that year. And then last year, he only played 95 games, and he was not the Tovar that we're not very much used to. His OPS plus was down. I mean, again, like I said, we need stability in that middle infield, especially given that I don't want to say we may have a carousel at second base, but it would be nice to have consistency, everyday consistency at one of those middle infield spots.
Yeah. And I mean, he's the franchise shortstop, right? So you do need him to be healthy because he does need to be that guy who is providing stability for this team. And he's just really good also when he's healthy. Extra base hit machine, 25 home run guy when healthy, like he was at his first full season. And so there's a lot to like about Ezekiel. If he stops changing his swing so much, that would be an amazing step for him to take in 2026. He changed the starting position of the bat head so much. It was just so annoying to watch. But I'm sure Brett Pitt will get him right this spring, and we'll see a little bit less of that. And assuming he stays healthy, which I think we all expect him to do, I think he'll be one of the top 2-3 players on this team in 2026, like we expect him to be.
I don't know. I know again, he's Trevor Story now. He's been dubbed the Trevor Story successor. So, you had Tulo to Trevor Story and now to Ezekiel Tovar. I don't think, do you think we both can agree he's not going to be much as powerful as Trevor Story? He's not going to chase 40 home runs like Story did on a consistent basis.
No, he's not. He's not going to do that. No, he chases too much, and he's big with the gaps. The home runs are kind of just a nice result of him taking a normal swing, not necessarily trying to hit home runs.
What makes me nervous? Because, I hope he can work on I hope he doesn't turn into Javi Baez with outside sliders. I hope to. Because remember his rookie season, he was he was like extending his arms and reaching out there. And, he had a productive rookie season, but I don't want him to become a Javi Baez, not mini-me, but Javi Baez 2.0.
Yeah. 42% chase rate his rookie year. And I think it was 41 last year. So got some work to do.
And last point I wanted to bring this up. I'm not sure if you saw it, but again, Alex Bregman does not play for the Colorado Rockies, but he does now play for the Chicago Cubs. He opened up in November. He opened up his own training facility called Club Nemesis. There was a MLB Network did a feature on it, and there were 2 guys, one of whom is a Rockies prospect. The Holiday brothers, Jackson and Ethan, are both off-season training members of that specific facility. So who was it? It was I don't think it was Harold Reynolds. Somebody interviewed Jackson, but they did not interview Ethan, or at least they didn't show when they talked to Ethan. So I don't know if anybody who saw it. If you don't, go check out MLB Network's YouTube and social media pages. You can find the video. But it's nice to see Ethan hanging out with a proven, again, the scandal aside for a second here, Alex Bregman is a proven big leaguer. So it is nice to see Ethan, try and take tutelage from a guy who has multiple World Series rings.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it's about, man.
Not to mention he does have the legacy genetics. So
he does. Got to get those holiday genetics in there, man. They're powerful at Coors Field.
Well, the only difference, of course, is going to be interesting because their dad was an outfielder, whereas they're both middle infielders.
Yeah, Ethan is probably going to end up at a corner infield or corner outfield spot, is what I've heard from scouts online. It's just because he's not he's pretty versatile for his size. He's obviously much bigger than Jackson, but he's just not quite as athletic as Jackson or as most other shortstops. So seeing him at shortstop or middle infield long-term is just not something that most scouts anticipate.
Do you think it's maybe his lack of range, or is that what they're saying? Or is it just he's not fit for the spot?
Yeah, it's not the arm. It's just the size and the lack of range mostly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, he played very little, so we'll see how he does in his second season in the big leagues. Or no, sorry, second season in pro ball. Excuse me. Why did I say big leagues? I'm sorry. I was too fixated on thinking about Matt Holiday there. He is the
Tom knows something we don't.
Well, his brother unfortunately has the issue with that handmade bone, so Jackson's going to be out for. I swear, it's been. You saw that 3 guys have now having that having
Same
that
injury.
surgery.
That's
It's
crazy.
right here. That's it. Now again, that's hurts for when you swing the bat, but it's just 3 guys, 2 of which are prolifically known players. One, of course, being Lindor.
Yeah, it's a very interesting injury. I think I've felt some pain there before when I used to play in high school, and I was like, "What the heck is wrong with this?" And so, yeah, if you've hurt that enough to the point where you need surgery, you need to get that surgery because it's not comfortable to swing the bat when you have that particular bone out of order.
It's all in the wrist. And it
Mhm.
hurts when you get that shock of the bat just going up your forearms. It hurts.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully they all heal up.
Okay, let's bring it to our last segment. With that being said, we gave you a slight little preview. We're going to go to our outfielders preview. So, Chris, I'll let you take it over. Let's go down the order that you have set up for us.
Dude, let's do it. Okay, so I'm super excited. I have a very fundamental question though before we get into it. We're going to talk about each of the 7 outfielders who are on the 40-man roster currently because they have the highest chance of making the roster out of spring training. Of the 4 main position groups, infielders, outfielders, starters, relievers, Tom, how would you rank the Rockies' strengths? If you had to rank them 1 through 4, what would your ranked order be of those position groups for us right now?
That is a great question. Very, very good. You're putting me on the spot, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me think here. Let me just take a quick thinky think. I'm going to go from 4 to 1. So 1 being strength, 4 being the weakness. Okay, so, and of course, just to clarify, we do include catchers as the part of the infield, right? That is, of course.
Yes.
Just clarifying. Okay, I'm going to go with 4. The biggest weakness, I'm going to say, is the infield. 3, I'm going to say, is the rotation. And 2 is the bullpen. 1, I'm going to say our strength is our outfield because we have. I'll give you a quick. I'll give you a quick synopsis.
Yep. Yeah.
Too many questions on the infield. Nobody except for Tovar, who had an injury plagued season last year, is only really a set position. The rest of the positions aren't fully set at this point. We could say Karros is 3rd, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. And then, obviously, catcher could be a strength of that infield because we know who's going to be the catchers, and of course, one of them is our best hitter. But I'm giving them just too many question marks. When you go to the rotation, I like the veteran additions. That's what pushed me above there, adding Lorenzen, Quintana, Sugano to complement Freeland and kind of take pressure off the young guys, makes it, I guess, a number 3. Bullpen, I just see there's a lot of, not in addition to Vodnik, Halverson, Herget, I see a lot more potential like Jaden Hill or somebody like again, we don't know who the long man's going to be. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 options for the long reliever. So I see a lot of depth in the bullpen as far as even with the top guys, there's probably going to be some depth there. And the outfield, there's just, we talked about this. There's 4 guys really who we thought could just intermix to be the opening day outfield and the other be the DH. And with Zach Veen coming in all bulked up and everything, and Sterling Thompson, he had a great season last year in the minor leagues. I think there's and Troy Johnston, of course, the interview you did with him was fantastic. I love his attitude. So I just see so much depth. And again, even with a Brett Doyle, who's going for a comeback player of the year campaign here, I just see so much potential and a lot more. I don't want to say, guarantee is not the word, a lot more prestige in the outfield of the mix of the guys you have in the outfield. So that's my rankings.
Okay. All right. That's solid. I can understand that. That makes sense. Okay. I think I would rank, just to keep up with the trend, 4 to 1, 4 being weakest, 1 being strongest. I think I would go rotation, infield, outfield, bullpen. Okay. I'm super high on the bullpen. I'll start with 4, actually. Rotation, sure. I like the addition of the veterans, but it's hard to get over the fact that they're all in their mid to late 30s. They don't throw the ball very hard. And although they have pitch types that work at Coors Field, it's just hard to see any of them being a sub-4 ERA guy. Okay. And that's tough for me to see. I mean, there'll be sub 5 ERA guys, I think. I believe that. But overall, I think rotation is probably the weakest aspect for that reason. Really no velo. They're all older on the back end of their career. And it's just tough for me to see that all working together for them to put together a sub 4 ERA, any of them, really. Infield, I think, is 3. I agree with you that this is on the back end of these position groups in terms of our strength. I think the uncertainties at each of those positions is well stated. Tovar, I mean, you have Goodman and Tovar in there. And so when they're both healthy, you like to see that. It just doesn't feel like there's enough consistency there yet for me to put them higher than either the outfielders or the bullpen. And so it's close, but I think infield is 3. Outfield is number 2 for sure. There's a lot to like about the outfield, which we'll get into in a second here. A lot of tools, arm strength, speed, guys that can hit for average, hit for power. It's the most set and diverse of the position groups that we have, I think, all in all. And then number 1 is the bullpen. It has to be the bullpen. I think this bullpen is significantly underrated. I think this is the top 20, maybe even at best after the season, a top 15 bullpen if everyone's healthy and takes the right development steps. I mean, you got Herget, you got Vodnik, you got Mejia, Bernardino, Halverson, Jaden Hill. Yet to see what we can get out of RJ Pettit. But these are all guys that profile really nicely for Coors Field, who have had success, whether it be in the limited amount of time they've had in their career or elsewhere, like a Brendan Bernardino or RJ Pettit in AAA. The bullpen is the strength of this team. I agree with Warren Schaefer on that. It's just hard to see them not being the best position group this year. But the outfielders are solid, I guess. And so do you want to dive right on in? Should we dive into the outfielders now?
Absolutely. I can agree with your rankings. I mean, you and I weren't too far off. So, okay, but I think we can agree on the strengths and weaknesses. The top 2 and the bottom 2, we can fairly much agree on that for the most part. No, yeah, let's go ahead. Dive right into it. What do you want to start?
Yeah, let's do it, man. All righty. So let's talk about these outfielders in order of Fangraphs WAR. Okay. Fangraphs does their WAR projections for the season every offseason. And so right now, Rockies have 7 outfielders on the 40-man roster. Let's start off with the guy that they think is going to be the best outfielder for this team in 2026. And that is our man, Brenton Doyle. Tom, what comes to mind when you think of Brenton Doyle in 2026?
One word, dynamic. That's what I call him. He is a dynamic all-around baseball player. The only bugaboo I have or knock on him on his arsenal of skill set, I would say, is he doesn't walk as much as, your prototypical, your power strikeout walk guy, but we don't need him to be. Because I can see him hitting for a 290 plus average and hitting 25, 30 home runs a season. And then not to mention, he is a dynamic athlete, which is why let me change the wording. He is a stellar athlete. So on the base pass, he could steal upwards of 25 or more bases. So as we've talked about, he could be a 30-30 guy. Someone I think a couple years ago threw up, there's a very exclusive 40-40 club. If I remember correctly, still Alfonso Soriano is the most recent member to join it. Someone threw out the crazy idea if he joins that club, which again, you never know. We'll see. And of course, we all know how he is arguably the top 3 defensive center fielders in baseball. There's no question about that when he's healthy. He can patrol it with the best of them. So yeah, I can see that being that definitely if he has comeback player of the year award worthy season, whether he wins it or it's puts him in the top 3 voting for that award, he could be the guy who helps lead the charge in this group.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's solid. I also think of Ohtani and Acuna, right, for 40-40, relatively recent.
You're right. I forgot. I'm sorry. I completely forgot about Ohtani it was Ohtani was the most recent one. Was that correct? Or was it Acuna?
Mm-hmm. It was Ohtani had what, 55, 50 or something like that?
How could I forget? Oh my goodness. Because the record-setting home run was in Miami, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So he's most recent.
Well, Ohtani, he is a unicorn, as we all know.
This is true. Yeah. But to that point that you made about Brenton, I completely agree. I've been on Brenton since 2023, man. And I'm just waiting for him to just put it all together. I mean, he's still obviously young in terms of his MLB experience level, But dude, I mean, he's already an established 3-tool player at the big leagues, right? He's got the arm strength, he's got the fielding, he's got the speed, he's got 2 gold gloves. And so we've seen the shades of the offensive side of his game too, whether it be with the average or the power with the stolen bases. He really is the most complete player that the Rockies have on paper and potential. He just has to put it all together. And so this has to be the year that he seriously takes steps, assuming he's healthy, which of course we are. I mean, like you said, the chase, the whiff, and the strikeouts are all a little bit too high. Same thing with the walk. I guess the opposite. It's a little bit too low. But I think if he establishes himself as a legitimate offensive threat, the way we think he can perform, that will start to make teams a little bit more worried about his presence at the plate, which will obviously increase the walk rate. And so I think it's really important for him to take that step this year. He hits everything pretty much the same. Okay. He didn't hit everything terribly well. All right. He hit 230 on the fastball, 234 on the breaking ball, 250 on off-speed pitches, but they're all in the same general range. And so if he can just be better or take those steps forward, that's a really complete baseball player. That's arguably the best baseball player on this team, you know?
And just real quick, according to Baseball Savant, even in a down year like last year, he was ranked the lowest fielding category he was ranked in was in the 92nd percentile. Sprint speed, he's ranked in the 96th percentile.
Yeah. So you get plus fielding, plus speed.
And even in a bad year, he did. I mean, the bat speed was low, but again, I don't credit that. You know, again, his chase rate was kind of low. His whiff rate was low. But again, it's in a down year, so I use that. I don't use it. I use that kind of as an outlier for him. But the interesting thing about him is, I don't know about if you notice this too. He's not a dead. People sometimes see him as a dead pull hitter. I don't see that. He goes opposite field quite more frequently than most guys of his player profile, I guess is the right way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, he ideally, when he's right, he does go more opposite field. Last year, not nearly as much as in 2024 when he was at the peak of his early career powers. But that is another aspect of his game. Yeah, he can use the whole field for sure. And that really helps him, especially at Coors Field, right? With his speed. If he puts one in the left center field gap or down the right center field gap or down the right field line, that's a triple potentially waiting to happen. And so that puts you in a really solid position here. If you're Warren Schaefer creating a lineup, assuming you can get the most out of Brenton, he's just got so much versatility in that way, you know?
And then 2 points I'll make. If he puts one in the corner, it takes a crazy bounce. He could circle the bases.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
and one last point I'll make about it. Remember, Charlie Blackmon holds the record for most RBIs from the leadoff spot. Say he is the leadoff hitter. What's to stop him from breaking Charlie's record?
I guess himself, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. Because the one thing he has over Charlie is speed. He's much faster than Charlie was. Even in his prime years, he was faster than Charlie.
Yeah, no, right now, Brenton Doyle is the better defender than Charlie ever was in pretty much every single aspect: arm strength, fielding, speed. He's the much better defender. He has 2 gold gloves, right? So
correct. Charlie, I think Charlie is none. He has silver sluggers, but he's not at gold gloves.
No, he was not awarded anything defensively. I really hope they don't bat Brenton in in the leadoff spot. I really don't like his profile there. Unless he becomes a guy who can, here's the thing. If he can hit upwards of 280 against the fastball, then you can put him in the leadoff spot. But if you're going to hit 230 against the fastball, you can't be up there because you have to be able to be a threat out of that position. I think I really like the way the Dodgers do this, right? Because Ohtani's not really the prototypical leadoff hitter, but he bats leadoff and he can do literally everything. And so that's why I really like Mickey Moniak in the leadoff spot for the Rockies, quite honestly. We'll get to him later on, I guess, in our breakdown, because Mickey can do all of that. He's a much more balanced and better overall hitter than Brenton is right now. And so I like Brenton maybe somewhere in like the 5 or 6 hole, like right behind Beck, Tovar, that part of the lineup, just based on his current profile. But it'll be interesting to see how his season develops.
Just quick time on Otani. I know because Dave Roberts likes the lefty, righty, lefty. You go Otani, Freeman. I'm sorry, Otani, Betts, Freeman, and you're not going to put Freeman as the leadoff guy. So I can see why Dave Roberts does that. But if he did move Shohei back 2 spots, I know for a fact Otani could do 150 RBIs easily.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Which, by the way, in Rockies history, there's only one guy to do that, have 150 RBIs or more. It was a recent Trivia Tuesday question.
Yeah, this had to have been in like the 90s, bro.
Yeah,
Is this Dante Bichette?
No, good guess though, but nope.
Andres Galarraga?
Yes, it was Andres Galarraga.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the White Sox have the same thing. Albert Bell is the only one.
150 RBIs in a season is absolutely insane, dude.
You are just a machine. You are just a clutch machine if you do that. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And you probably have a pretty good offense.
True, you have guys who can protect you, and also guys have to get on to help you too, because you can't just do solo home runs all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, why don't we just move on? Who's next?
Dude, yeah, okay. So Brenton is covered. Next guy I think we should talk about. Oh, by the way, Brenton's projected WAR is 2.1. Last I checked. Second guy on this list. Yeah,
I think he can go above. I think real quick, I think he'll be above 3. He'll be above 3.
3. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a floor, right? At the end of the day, so it's good to see that his floor is 2.1, and that's his respect level. The number 2 right now on that projection for outfield WAR is a tie, actually, between Jake McCarthy and Mickey Moniak. So I say we talk about Jake McCarthy first because he's the new acquisition. What do you think of the former division rival coming over to Purple Pinstripes?
I think, as I kind of commented before, this is a change of scenery thing for him. He's coming off a down year. I highlighted his speed is going to be a factor. I have him as a peg as a leadoff, not either batting leadoff or being in the 9 spot. I know he doesn't. I don't think he's going to offer much power, which I don't think he's obviously not going to be in the heart. He's not batting 3, 4, or 5, or even 6 for that matter. If anything, he's in the bottom third, or in maybe some cases, however Warren wants to structure it leading off. But like I said, I do love his speed. We do need, whether he's in the lineup or he's a pinch runner, defensive replacement for that game alone, where he didn't start off the bench, is good. Because we had this debate, you, Sarah, and myself. Is he going to get full-time everyday playing time? Is he going to play upwards of 100 games? In injury situations, he will. It's just such a crowded outfield, though. It's because I don't know, but I could see him being the starting right fielder on opening day against Miami. What if you don't mind me asking, what's his projected home run total? Do you have it right there with you?
Oh, I can go find it. What do you think it is?
Sorry.
Take a guess.
Oh, sorry. I thought you.
No, take a guess.
If you, what do they have?
I got it.
Okay, cool.
What do you think it is?
22.
McCarthy?
Yeah, I threw a number out there. I just took a wild guess. Is it higher than that? Am I way off? I'm way off.
Jake McCarthy to hit 22 home runs. Fangraph says 6.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. I guess that's more a Mickey Moniak number because he had 24 this year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mickey.
I guess I gave him. I'm sorry, Jake. I guess I thought you were just like Zach Veen. You put on a lot of weight.
Dude, yeah. I mean, they are brothers. Remember, they're brothers.
Well, who was it? It was Sarah who officially said they look like brothers. Maybe they could be the Bash brothers this year. Yeah,
well, I guess so. If he listens to you, man, then he's just gonna absolutely tear it up. If you get 22 home runs out of Jake McCarthy, this is a 75-80 win.
Okay, I guess I was having a glitch in my brain there because the most he's hit in the season is 8. So I apologize for me being way off. But also, I just love the fact that he has, again, his career on base percentage is 324. His highest he's had is 349. This is a bounce back year for him. He is not going into his final year of arbitration. Let me just double check. This is not his final year of arbitration. His final year of arbitration is 2028. So I think I commented this on the episode we talked about the Rockies trade for him. I like this addition in terms of it adds a lot more depth. He is a lefty, both throwing and swinging from the left side of the plate. Again, I see him as a leadoff 9-hole kind of guy. So but if he does have a rebound year, again, it's great for us if he does reach that WAR total for sure.
Yeah. So okay, now I'm gonna throw a wrench in both of those things actually, because I
Sure.
think something that we think when we think Jake McCarthy is okay, he's gonna be in when we're facing right-handed pitchers. He actually hit pretty much even against them in 2024 against both pitchers' handedness. 286 against righties, 284 against lefties. Last year, he actually hit better against lefties than righties.
What's
And
the
so
comparison? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
well, no, I mean that was about it for that. But I think it's
Mhm.
interesting that he might actually not even necessarily be just a platoon guy if he's playing well. You can really put him in against anyone. He's not this guy who's so much worse against lefties. He's not like a Mickey Moniak, significantly worse against lefties. He's actually pretty decent. And to the point about the spot in the lineup, that's the last thing I was going to say. In 2024, you want to guess the position in the lineup he hit most in with the D-backs?
Oh, I think I commented this. Oh, geez. Was it fifth?
Sixth, yeah. Fifth
Oh,
was
okay.
second. So
Okay.
sixth was the spot he batted in the most, which is interesting. I don't really see him batting sixth in this lineup, but what do you think about that potential reality?
Well, first, let me Sarah's comment. Sarah commented, "If we get 22 tanks out of McCarthy, we make in the postseason." Uh, I think I started. I think I started a. I think Vegas is going to get on my under over with that one. I think I just started a trend here. A prop bet. And yes, Sarah also guessed six. She was right, like I was. Real quick question: what is his OBP comparisons on the split? Is he get on base more, or is it more or less than the other, or is it pretty close?
So in 2024, he got on against righties 13 points more. In 2025, he got on against righties 40 points more. Although he hit better against lefties, which is weird.
True. Which
Yeah.
again, that is weird. But there is the saying, you face more righties than you do lefties, and again, you just maybe get run into a few more as a lefty. But Pete Rose says it's a big advantage to be a switch hitter. So,
This is
but he is
true.
not. But McCarthy is not. He's a natural left-hander.
Yeah. Hey, what about
Okay.
Luke's comment here?
Oh, sure.
The,
Sorry,
the
I'll
first
pop it up.
one. Yeah.
Oh, oops, sorry.
About
Hold on a
about the
second. Sorry,
defense.
not that one. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Luke in our comments talking about I think McCarthy's defensive range and speed compared to Beck's arm strength puts him in left field and Beck in right field. I'm not sure but Beck has more experience in left field. He's more experience of a left fielder than he is a right fielder. And I know people are probably yelling at me saying, "Well, there's no big difference." There's actually quite a bit of difference, more than you think, playing right field and left field. Not just the spot you're playing in the outfield and the side the ball comes off, but the throws from right field are very different from left field.
They are very different. He's left-handed too. McCarthy is.
Yes.
McCarthy has really bad arm strength, and so you really do see him mostly in left field when he's at least in 2025. But in 2024, he actually played most of his games in center, second most in right. And so I guess the idea is that, hey, we put him in right field because he'll go run down a lot of balls that might become triples. In left, the speed isn't, I don't want to say isn't as valuable, but I think, again, with the fact that Beck really has had left field locked down, he has the bigger arm. So I guess you could make an argument to put him in right. But I think I would keep Beck in left and let McCarthy go run down stuff that could potentially become triples if it wasn't run down. Does that make sense?
No, I agree with you because the quicker he gets to the ball, he can prevent the extra base. He can prevent, again, on the close ones, guys are still, someone with speed is going to try and still take second base. So he's got to try and make a throw there, but it still prevents anybody who is clearly getting the double on the standing double. It prevents the guy from going to third by getting to the ball and getting it in quickly. Because there's going to be because whoever's playing second is going to be out there to cut it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did I say McCarthy played like 400 something games in center field?
No, if you look at his splits, if you look at his splits though, he has played about double the games in right field as he has in center field, and he's played the fewest in left field. So he's an experienced right fielder.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think again that kind of adds to the value there of keeping him there. Beck is almost the exact same with left.
And not to make the car, you, of course, we bring out the left-handed. It is in some ways a little more advantageous to be a left-handed right fielder, because if you're going to your left, you cannot have to make the turn to make the longer throw in the corner. So it is a little bit more of a benefit.
Yeah,
That's just because again, righty, you just got, again, Mookie Betts, one of the best throws I've ever seen. I think it was against the Diamondbacks. He plays it off the wall, makes that spin turn, just shucks it to, I remember who he threw out at third base, but then again, we're talking about Mookie Betts here. So
yeah, exactly.
But no, I think let's also go to this one. Well, this is probably going to go next with this next question from Luke. So, who does this segue into our guy who is tied with Jake McCarthy, or?
Yes, it does. It segues perfectly, Luke. Thank you very much for that, because tied in the projection for WAR in 2026 with McCarthy is our good buddy Mickey Moniak. So both of them are projected to have a WAR of 0.9. Obviously, there's a big difference between the two. They're almost the exact opposite. Okay, McCarthy's selling point is his fielding and his speed. Moniak's selling point is his average, his power, and I guess his speed as well. And then kind of a little bit more with the arm strength. He's got average arm strength, mostly in right field, I believe, in 2025. Let me go double check that. But to start this preview of Mickey Moniak off with an answer to Luke's question, no, I don't really see Mickey playing the field very much in 2026. I kind of see Mickey as the perma DH, almost like a Shohei Ohtani. I think that's really a good role for him because his fielding value is just so bad. He's just not a good fielder, but he's excellent offensively. And I mean, I did say earlier he was not great against lefties, but I really don't think he was too terrible. Let's go take a look at that split real quick. His lefty-righty split in 2025. Okay, that was actually pretty bad. Okay, he hit 276 against righties and then 222 against lefties. So he'll have to work on that. But I mean, I think you have to give him the opportunity to become a guy who can hit lefties at least a 250 clip, right? You have to give him that opportunity. And so that only comes with putting him in there every day as the DH. I think the only time you'd see him play the outfield is if you wanted to maybe give Hunter a day off behind the dish and you still wanted to keep Mickey's bat in the lineup. Then you might go see him play right field. I don't really see him in the left, but yeah, that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that. What do you think about Mickey Moniak there, Tom?
Well, now that I look at his Baseball Savant page, he is not playing the outfield very often. If they have that option, his outs above average were -8, which puts him in the 4th percentile. His arm value is -5 in the 1 percentile. His sprint speed, he's ranked in the 80th percentile for sprint speed. But yeah, he is not, unless of course there comes a reason for him to put him out there. He likely is not going to see the outfield much. But again, we talk about his story. He's a former #1 overall pick, and he kind of has fluttered with the Angels and the Phillies. Now he at 27 years old, he found his footing, and I know he's looking to improve on that. And again, like I mentioned, he was second on the team in home runs. Again, check out the video on our YouTube channel. So he definitely, like as you point out, his fielding value puts him at -0.6 WAR for this past season. So I don't see him seeing the outfield that much, which I think it's good we have the positional depth that we're talking about.
Okay, now here's an interesting thing I just noticed from his splits. All right, 2024 and 2023 with the Angels, I think is who he played for, right? Yes. He played most of those innings in center field, and he actually had significantly above average defense. 74% in 2024 in range, and then 84th percentile in range in 2023, all in center field. And so maybe he's the backup center fielder if you needed to give Doyle a break on any given day. It seems like he's more comfortable in center field than he is on either of the corners.
I'm just pulling up to his 2023 Baseball Savant. In 2023, he had a outs above average of 4, which puts him in the 84th percentile. So to your point, maybe again, it's not easy to play defense in Coors Field. So maybe that had an effect on him. People talk about the hitter's effect with Coors Field. There is a defensive effect. Brenton Doyle just makes it look easy because it's Brenton Doyle, for crying out loud. But you do bring up a fair point there. I will give you that. So sure, I mean, maybe he could take pointers from Brenton Doyle because, like I said, his sprint speed is in the 384 percentile. He's not as fast as Brenton, but he definitely has closing speed. Again, Brenton or Mickey, listen to Brenton.
Yeah. Yeah. And hit the weight room so you have a massive cannon in center field as well.
Because again, playing center field, you have to cover more ground and the throws are different. But I guess some guys just like that comfortability of being in the middle, and you can see again whether it's seeing the ball more clear off the bat, whether it's the wind blowing that day. There's several factors, but again, Mike Trout is going back to center field this year for the Angels. Best of luck there with him on that one. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, even to that point, that's a really good point you made there that I wanted to highlight there, Tom. I mean, there's a massive difference between center field and the corners. As someone who played all outfield in high school, but mostly center and right. I mean, I loved center field because the view I had, you get a nice view of the pitch directly going to home plate. It gives you a much better ability to get a read of the ball off the bat. But you go to right field, all of a sudden that judgment significantly changes because you have more slice to account for. And so that can significantly impact your ability to play quality defense. I can't imagine how much different it is at the major league level with all those guys who are even higher quality guys with the exit velos significantly higher. So that could also have contributed to Mickey's down performance year defensively in right field.
No, your point. Yeah. Plus, if you get a lefty, he turns on one. To your point at the slice, you got to get a pretty good read if you want to get to, assuming it's not too low. It's not tailing too low.
Exactly.
So and Luke comment. Yeah. So he just got cooked in his first, again, as we talked about, that corner can be tough because anybody who's played that corner of Coors Field, the ball can have a crazy kick. Even at Dodger Stadium, that corner is kind of tricky to play off the carom as well. Or if you go to, again, the Rockies are a National League, they don't play in Boston every year. But again, same thing with the pesky polar area over there. I've been to that ballpark. The ball can just roll around the corner there and you just miss it. So every ballpark plays differently. I didn't see this. Chris uses Johnson's listed as left field. So could we go Johnston, McCarthy, Moniak? I don't see that. No, because you're leaving Bretton Doyle out right there.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? You want a guy who's got 27th percentile speed in your outfield.
Because
he can play the outfield. It helps that he has played that position and has gotten innings at corner outfield positions, but he actually played the most innings at first base in 2025. So that's probably where he's going to spend most of his time.
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are guys who can go out there in an emergency situation. They're athletic enough where if it's a late inning issue and you pinch run for this guy, you have to sub this guy, you have to move guys to different positions. You could do that. That's why it does have that flexibility, but I think you're right.
Yeah. Maybe Luke is talking about like a third day type of lineup, like the last game of the series.
Like a Sunday, like a getaway day.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, right? I don't think that's the position you'd want to be in if you were the Rockies, to have Johnston entering this outfield mix, but it's interesting.
I would hope not. But again, crazy times can call for desperate measures.
Yeah, but I like Mickey overall.
I agree. He's going to be in the lineup on opening day, though.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Especially with Sandy Alcantara out there.
God. I keep forgetting he's still there.
Yeah, I know. He's already been named opening day starter. So
several opening day starters have already been named. Turk Skubal, Paul Skeens, Garrett Crochet, the obvious ones have all been named.
Super surprised by all of those. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really? So, I thought we were going to be a little surprised. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
The Red Sox aren't starting Johan Oviedo on opening day. What are we talking about?
They're not starting Sonny Gray either over Garrett Crochet. There's no chance.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. But yeah. Okay. So that's Mickey Moniak. Yeah. Solid offensively, defensively, probably not going to see much action unless it's in center field where he has historically been above average, actually pretty significantly, by the way, in terms of range, at least. He's got the average arm too. Let's move into our fourth of 7 outfielders. This is Tyler Freeman. Okay. He's projected to have a 0.7 WAR. Again, these are floors, right? That's not going to be his WAR in 2026 in all likelihood. A 0.7 WAR. He was in right field last year. He was kind of doing the platoon thing with Mickey, which was fine. All right. Tyler will hit for average. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm, by the way, which makes this right field decision even more complicated because Tyler was also not a very good defender in right field. He was very similar to Mickey, probably for similar reasons. I mean, it was his first year playing right field in his career, but absolute cannon, 94th percentile in arm strength. And he's also fast, obviously, with the 80th percentile in speed. So what do we think of Tyler's fit here?
Well, I didn't realize he had this high sprint speed. He's ranked in the 80th percentile in sprint speed, which is good. You want, but then again, I don't think he's had much experience in center field. But no, you're right. He is ranked in the 94th percentile in arm strength. So, but outs above average, he is negative 13. Oh god, so he's in the 1 percentile. No, but given to your point, you want pretty much not almost every time your right fielder has your strongest arm. So I know we did talk about he does have infield flexibility, but I can see him given the choice between him and Mickey Moniak for right field on opening day. I would go with Tyler. Between those two, I would go Tyler Freeman. Again, I know Jake McCarthy's in the mix here. But also another thing about him, here's the interesting thing about in the squared up percentage, when you square the ball up, he's ranked in the 90th percentile in that category. And if you look at his spray chart from last year, he tends to be more he's not a pull hitter. He tends to push the ball to right field, which reminds me of Tim Anderson, who is a push hitter. But he does square the ball up the middle a lot, which I do like. This adds a complicated thing because, again, you got athleticism with Jake McCarthy and the left-handed throwing, and then you mix in the arm strength of Tyler Freeman. You really got to do your pros and cons when it comes to picking Freeman over McCarthy for right field.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's tough, right? Because you got the guy who's faster and who's just better at range coverage in McCarthy, but you have a much higher upside overall right fielder with Freeman because he's got the arm strength as well as pretty good speed and the familiarity too. Like I think we talked about last week, because he played right field last year for this team. It's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up. I think you have to get Tyler in the starting lineup somewhere. He's just too good offensively for you to leave him out. And his arm really has to be taken advantage of too. You can't leave 94th percentile arm strength only in like a DH role like Mickey. He has to be out there. What's interesting about Tyler, though, is that he actually got called up and he was a third baseman. He played not the majority, but the plurality of his innings in his first year at third base. Same thing in 2023 at third base. I didn't know that. Then they moved him to the outfield in 2024, probably to take more advantage of the speed and the arm combo. And then the Rockies kept him in the outfield mostly in 2025. Did play some second base there as well. But do you like Tyler more in right field or competing for a second or third base spot this spring?
If you want, now that we're talking it out here, where if you want to have that range, that speed and athleticism in right field, I think it's safe to say you have. Plus, you want to challenge Kyle Karros, like say, hey, we're not just giving this to you. You want it, you got to earn it. And, given the fact is, Tyler Freeman's arm strength is not what Nolan Arenado's prime arm strength was, but it's still, you want that strong over their arm over there at third base. So, and to your point, yeah, I'm just going to scroll down here real quick and double check before I say anything else. He does have a fair amount of appearances at third base. Yeah, it's basically, Tyler Freeman can have that defensive flexibility. I would say make Kyle Karros earn it if he wants the starting third base job, and if not, then Tyler Freeman can play it because again, you want that strong over there. And assuming Tyler Freeman does, of course, have that first step quickness that you need at third base.
Yeah, well, okay, now I'm looking at some further detail on his third base expedition. He was 27th percentile in range at third. So, and he had 40% arm strength, I guess probably because he doesn't get the outfield running start that he gets to launch throws at third base, So maybe it's probably not a good idea to put him at third base. The arm is good on paper, but if you take into consideration some of the context there, I think you actually lose the arm strength and the defense and the defensive potential overall by putting Tyler at third.
Fair point. Fair points, all of it. I agree. It will be, I'm sure they will have, like I said, a bit of a friendly competition, see who wins it. So it'll be interesting to watch. It's one of those position battles that's not set in stone.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not the only one to give you kudos. Oh, sorry, not that one. Kudos on the strong points. So Luke agrees with the strong points for Chris on that one. So it is a position battle we'll have to stop. Well, I'm sorry, we're going to keep an eye on because, like I said, there's only a couple of positions that we know are set in stone: center field, shortstop, catcher. So
Yeah, this is true. If you go to the comment right above that one that Luke had, that's an interesting one too, because Castro's another utility guy who you could easily see getting some reps in right field. I actually think he played. Let me go check on that. I think Castro might have played the plurality of his innings in right field last year. Let me double check.
wouldn't
Either
surprise me
there
if
or second base, one of the two.
it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Okay, second most. He played 265 innings at second, and he played 256 in right. Castro did. So, I mean, Castro's a very similar situation, right? A guy with really poor range, but an absolute cannon of an arm with pretty decent speed, 72nd percentile. And so it's a very similar situation. I mean, I wouldn't add Castro to the outfield mix right now. I think second is probably where he should end up. I think Julian is probably going to live mostly in that Mickey Moniak role from early in the season last year, where he plays every third day. And unless he really tears it up, will not really be much more than a platoon guy. But Castro, I think, is a better fit at second base for sure. And so, yeah, we'll just leave him there.
I think it's interesting when we get to our infield. We'll talk more about that when we get to our infield preview.
Exactly.
So I guess that's a segue to our next guy.
That is a segue to our next guy, our friend Jordan Beck. All right. So Jordan is fifth here on this list. He's the last guy with regular MLB experience on this list before we get to the two guys who are prospects. But I mean, we talked about Jordan a little bit earlier. He's projected to have a 0.6 WAR in 2026. He had a 258 batting average last year, pretty solid. All right, for a guy in his second full season, 16 home runs. So there's some power potential there. Probably not much more than 25 home runs per season would be my guess for Jordan Beck overall. But he's got 83rd percentile sprint speed. He's got a 69th percentile arm. And so he does kind of slot right in there as your left fielder. What do you think about Jordan Beck here, Tom?
I don't like his middle of the road chase rate at 52%, and I'm not a big fan of his 38% walk rate, because if he's gonna stick in that 250, 260 range, I'd like to see him have an OBP in the 320, 330 range. Maybe he can hit that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he's got to draw. If he wants to get to that OBP range, he's got to draw more walks. I do, of course, I do love the fact that he's faster than anyone would particularly expect out of him with the sprint speed in the 83rd percentile. He does have a strong arm if, in fact, left field is his everyday home in the defensive arrangement or alignment. Excuse me. I do like also he has above average bat speed but then again, he is a big guy. I think he has a lot more room for growth, especially not just in the spots I mentioned, but also I don't like for a guy who has as long of arms as he does, and he has that when he gets full extension, that he has a low squared up percentage of only 3%, third percentile. I'd like to see when he gets the full extension to really square more hits up, because if you look at his spray chart for 2025, he was more to the pull side, but he had a more than expected hits up the middle. He doesn't go opposite field too much, but a fair amount. So I think there's still more room for improvement. Again, you think back to, he does have power potential, because remember in first series of the season, he had a 3 home run day and a 3 home run day in a doubleheader. So he does have pop in that bat. So again, I do believe he can be at least an above average player.
I think he'll be actually really good. There's a comment here. Two,
sure.
I guess we could talk about. First is Wild's comment about the Beck sprint speed versus McCarthy sprint speed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Beck is 83rd percentile. McCarthy is like 99th percentile, but ultimately it really just accounts for like a 1.2 mile an hour difference. Okay, so it's not massive. They're both fast, and that's ultimately the difference at the end of the day.
They both can, for sure.
Yeah. Then now, I guess to Luke's comment about a 2020 season out of Beck, I think that's very possible. Okay. Mm-hmm. He had 16 home runs and 19 stolen bases in 2025 in what did I say last time? Like 148 games, 145, something like that.
47 or 48 it was, I think.
Yeah. And so if you add another 5 or so games in there, or you just give him another full season with all the changes he made after getting recalled last year, I easily see him as a 2020 guy. He could even maybe push 25 home runs. And I know we talked about some of the elements of his profile that are a little bit concerning, right? The whiff, the strikeouts, not really squaring the ball up. He's third percentile in squared up percentage. But here's the thing with that. That's really only entirely attributed to the fact that he could not hit breaking balls to save his life. Okay, he hit 310 against fastballs in 2025. He hit 264 against off speed, which is really solid. He just happened to hit 194 against breaking pitches. All right. So if he raises that even to like 220, 230, I mean, with the continued development and his stability and continuing to hit the fastball and the off-speed pitch, I could easily see him achieving that 2020 or 25-20 type of season.
Definitely possible. I do agree. It's not an unachievable accomplishment for him.
Yeah. And I mean, fielding wise, he's all right. The outs above average wasn't great, 30th percentile, but he's got good overall arm value. The arm strength is above average. And so he'll play a solid left field. He made some really nice throws to throw runners out last year. And so
just know when to hit the cutoff man and when to throw to the base.
This is true. Yeah. Young players struggle with this. Young outfielders struggle with that. So
some just don't it doesn't click. Like, no, you can't throw the runner out. You hit the cutoff man.
Exactly. Well, unless you're like Acuna from the corner of right field.
Or if you're here's a throwback, or if you're Vlad Guerrero Sr.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's quite the throwback.
Or even I could even throw Ichiro Suzuki into that mix too.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Both of those men do have outs from the warning track all the way to third base from right field.
Absolutely insane cannons. That's what you need out there. Right?
Yeah. So while it's coming, Bex looks faster because his oversized hat comes off every time he takes it off running. Well, remember, I've seen several guys. I mean, Bryce Harper in his younger days was famous for doing it. He would just, either whether it was the helmet or the hat, he would just flop it off and let that hair just flow behind him.
Dude, yeah. Can we petition to get Jordan Beck a helmet that actually fits him in 2026? My goodness, dude.
Maybe he just likes a looser helmet. I don't know.
Maybe he does. But maybe if he had a different helmet, his brain might be a little bit more locked in, and he'd hit those breaking balls a little bit better. I'm obviously
because just like you can fit your pants, your jersey, your everything to how you want it, you can do the same thing with your helmet. You want it tighter on the ears, looser on the head. There's a lot of ways you can tweak stuff because it's all custom made, or most of it's custom made. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. Well, we'll see what Jordan decides to do with that.
Here's a fun comment from Luke. You guys know the movie Little Giants. The tiniest kid wears a helmet that doesn't fit. Beck is in his batting helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
I do. He just kind of sunk his head in like a little turtle to squeeze his head out. Yeah, Luke, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I remember that with the part of the movie you're talking about.
Bro,
Anywho, so. Oh, here's Luke. Yeah, here's something from Wild. Chin strap, like a football helmet.
See, that would make him look like a kid for sure. If our goal was to make this man look like a little boy, then that would be perfect.
I don't even think I remember. I don't think I've ever seen a batting helmet with a chin strap on it at any level. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I don't think it exists, but it's a fun thing to theorize about.
It is fun to think about because, like in a football helmet, you can just add the buckles on the side there and just snap it in place. But he's a professional. Then again, you have to have the double ears from the side for that to work because baseball players have the one ear on, one ear off, depending which eye is looking at the pitcher. So yeah, that might not work out very well for that one.
Yeah, this is true.
Anywho, so why don't we segue into the two prospects? Do you want to start with Veen or Thompson?
Let's start with Thompson. Let's give my boy Sterling Thompson some credit. Okay. We talked about Veen a little bit earlier. We'll talk about him a little bit later also. But dude, under the radar, honestly, I think the pick that we picked Sterling Thompson with several years ago was the pick we got for losing Trevor Story. Yes?
I believe so. I think you're right.
Yeah. And so he's kind of coming about that age now, 24 years. He'll turn 25 during the season, where he's got to compete to make the major league roster. I don't think he'll make it out of spring, but you never know. He certainly lit up AAA last year. All right. 296, 18 home runs in 439 at bats, 513 plate appearances. You take a look at his prospect savant page, there's literally nothing below league average. Okay. I think the lowest number he has is 45th percentile. So very exciting guy, honestly. I'm kind of excited to see what Sterling Thompson brings. Now, I think he's mostly a left fielder. All right. So he'd probably be the Beck backup, if you will. He's very fast. All right. 88th percentile sprint speed in AAA. All right. He's blazing. So you'll love to see that in the Colorado Rockies outfield. He doesn't strike out. He's about average in terms of walks. He doesn't really chase. 64th percentile in chase rate and 63rd percentile in whiff rate. Is there anything else that you've heard about Sterling Thompson that makes you more excited or maybe more hesitant to give him some playing time later down the road in 2026?
Well, he is a home state grown guy, Longmont, Colorado. So that does add a little bit of a point, you could say, maybe in his favor on a personal side where fans could get more behind him. And of course, he is a Gator. But I think you're right. I think he was picked 31st overall. I think that was the pick that we get for sure. The one thing I like about him specifically, not just that he tore it up last year in AAA Albuquerque, I do like that he's durable. Last 2 years, he's played 119 games in 2024 and 120 games this past season, 2025. I love the durability. I like that guy who not only shows up to play every day, but also again, the best availability is durability. And that is what he shows over the past 2 seasons. That's what I was, and I do like, as you point out, again, the baseball savant, he's well balanced. I do like that he walks a decent amount of time. Again, 43 walks in 2024 to 53 walks this past season. The strikeouts went down just a little bit. And of course the batting average went up from 245 to 296 from Hartford to Albuquerque. The not as high above Denver of sea level may have an impact on that, but I don't know. But here's the thing. If he doesn't, because I don't want him sitting on the bench, if for some reason you have Beck is available and there's no issues with him making the opening day lineup, I see Thompson being in Albuquerque because you want him playing every day. You don't want him just sitting away, wasting away on the bench and getting cold and not working on regular everyday playing time. But barring something crazy happening, he could crack the roster at some point this season, if not opening day.
Yeah, well, MLB.com has him as a 2026 projected prospect in terms of making his debut. So I think we should expect that. I think they had him as 2025 also, though. So, maybe there's something weird going on there. But it is interesting to note that I was watching a video maybe a few weeks ago of Paul DePodesta talking about some of the moves they made this offseason. And he made a point to bring up Sterling Thompson when talking about some of the outfielders. And so that's interesting. He didn't mention Zach Veen. He mentioned Sterling Thompson. So maybe there's something that they like about Sterling specifically that gets them excited to see what he has in 2026. I mean, there's a lot to like here, right? The average, the sprint speed. He hit 18 home runs, not necessarily going to be considered a power hitter at the major league level, but I mean, he presumably plays solid defense. I couldn't find any fielding numbers for him. But I mean, overall, he's a solid dude. Now he's closer to 50-50 in terms of hitting the ball in the air, 53% fly ball rate. So obviously you like that closer to 55 plus, but I mean, if you can make solid contact and play solid defense with that speed, they'll find a spot for you for sure.
No, I think to your point, and we've talked about this before, this is a different way of evaluating all these guys. And clearly, with like Yankel Fernandez getting let go, et cetera, they are taking a look at everybody through a different lens, you could say. And yeah, I mean, we laid out several points, and I guess this front office is noticing, hey, this guy has value to offer. So I think, if not, I mean, again, to your point about him having the ETA of 2025, now 2026, again, last year, for all we know, the front office was just walking around with like a chicken's with its head cut off and really had no direction, this, and that. So I think, if anything, he could make his debut this year. Again, he does have positional flexibility.
Yeah, he was a third baseman at one point in time too. So that's in his bag. I don't think he's played that a ton over the last few years, but it's there. So it technically makes him a guy who you could use as a utility player, which is obviously helpful for this team.
He was restricted. He was restricted to outfield last year, but last time he did play one game. He had one start third base in 2024. Yeah, pretty much he's an overwhelming majority of his playing time in the last 3 years has been field.
Yeah, this is true. Well, which is good, right? Because it's the same idea of maximizing a guy's speed. Just because a guy has pretty solid defense, pretty solid arm at an infield spot doesn't mean that he should stay there. You could see if he has some more utility elsewhere, kind of like we were talking about earlier with Tyler Freeman. And so apparently that's the conclusion they came to with Sterling because of that speed aspect. But it'll be interesting to see how he contributes in 2026. Should we get on to our last guy, the man himself, the Hulk, who now exists in the Colorado Rockies clubhouse?
I suppose we can, considering he's interjected quite a few talking points at training camp, at spring training so far.
Yeah, man, goodness gracious. All right, final outfielder we'll talk about today is Zach Veen. He's got a 0 WAR projected in 2026. Obviously, he didn't play very much in 2025, so there's really not much to project there. All right, but I'm not really going to talk about his time at the big league level. It was not very long, and it was pretty bad. All right, so we'll talk about his AAA numbers. Hit 289. All right, so he can hit for average. Power, like we said earlier, wasn't there. Does 40 pounds heavier Zach Veen have some more power? You best hope that he does. He had 84th percentile sprint speed in AAA as well. Okay, so he's a base stealing threat. Did not walk a ton, chased a lot in AAA. Those were the two that he had in the blue in terms of his hitting percentiles and his hitter profile. But I mean, when you think about Zach's time at the big leagues last year, right, I think one thing stood out the most to me when I was watching him at the plate, at least defensively, he seemed fairly fine. At the plate, he just couldn't hit high fastballs, maybe even fastballs in general. The whiff rate on fastballs was absolutely insane. Okay, so there's a reason he got sent down. Hopefully he's worked on his swing in such a way that he can now get to those pitches. Because dude, if this version of Zach Veen connects with a high fastball at Coors Field, that is in the third deck at a bare minimum, dude. He might hit it over the dang rooftop. All right. So he just needs a swing that can get him up there. But what do you think of Zach Veen? The current version, last season, putting it all together, what do you make of who he is as a player?
Well, just to go along with his weight here, I found an article on Barstool Sports. They have him listed at 190, but apparently he ended the season at 202. And I guess he weighed in around 245. So that puts perspective as to what about the weight gain. So, but in terms of, I'm interested to see not just how it, I think about not just how it affects him, how it improves or changes his production at the plate, but also what does this do to his sprint speed? Because again, all that extra weight on there, again, he did widen not just his upper body, but also his legs are much bigger too. So how does that affect his sprint speed? What does his arm strength look like? Just overall, how does it affect him? Because, he was profiled to have average power, but as a prospect, but now that he's added this weight, what does that do for his offensive production and his power? And then of course, like I said, what does it do for his ability to play defense?
Yeah, I really like that, honestly. I like seeing that he's put on some weight because, like we talked about earlier, for those who didn't hear that part, he came out of college being this power hitting guy. Like that's who he was expected to be. He was expected to be a guy who could hit 30 home runs a year. He hasn't been that guy at any level of the minor leagues yet. And so it feels like this offseason, he's trying to get back to being Zach Veen before the drug addiction, before he tried to change up his play style maybe and get a little bit faster. He's just trying to be the guy who got him drafted in the top 10. All right. And so all things considered, I like the idea of potentially getting the powerful Zach Veen back and losing a little bit of the speedy Zach Veen, especially if he plays a corner outfield spot. It's not really going to be that much of an issue, and he still had like 80 something at the percentile sprint speed in AAA, 72nd percentile sprint speed at the major league level. So maybe he loses a little bit of that, but it's like, even if he's average speed in right field, the prospect of getting the bat back, the power back, is something that we've really been looking forward to for a long time as Rockies fans, and could really help this team.
Agreed, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I see some comments here.
Yeah. So Wild has, of course, the interesting comment. Bruce Banner? Question mark. We did comment. We did compliment. He's now viewed as the Incredible Hulk of the team. Bench press contest with everybody else in the clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let us know in the comments. Who do you think?
Who you got money on, him or RJ Pettit? Who do you got money on? Because RJ Pettit's about 300 pounds.
Yep, 6'8", 300.
God,
you taking his bench or Beans?
That's a big man on the mound. My goodness,
it's huge. I can't wait to watch him pitch this season.
What was this? Yeah. What it's a comment about some about Bean. What was the sprints like last week? Did it go down now, or would pick back up as spring training goes on? I see it going down a little bit because you're carrying the extra weight, so you're sacrificing speed, some sprint speed for power and strength. So I do see his sprint speed going down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we kind of just talked about that, right?
Sure.
He puts on more pounds. Not that it's a massive issue, but nonetheless, yeah.
I'm thankful to Harding and Beam for the article giving us some answers to our questions about Beam the last few years. Of course, I mean he's opened up about his struggle with addiction. So,
yeah, it's good to see that he's gotten past that, and he's got a lot of positivity in his life now, and is looking really solid. That's something else we mentioned earlier. He actually has genuine confidence that is felt so far this spring in spring training, as opposed to the sort of cockiness that he brought to spring training last year with the hair, with the bat flips, etc. Hopefully the bat flip aspect is still there. I want to see him hit a third deck shot to right field and then absolutely pimp a bat flip. But yeah, he's got to actually have the play to back it up. So looks like he could bring that this year.
He had a close one with a comebacker where he still to the pitcher. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. When he kind of just tossed it straight out, toss it to the side, not straight out. Or then again, don't be careful to throw it too far.
Yep, exactly.
Sarah coming in with, I need some spring training action games before I think of a real new form and a new opinion on Beam. Well, we'll see on Beam. Well, we'll see. They're starting a couple of days. We won't know. Again, we'll see if he's even playing in the first game. We'll have to wait and see. So
he usually does, doesn't he? I think he did last year.
Well, I agree, but they've already worked that out at this point. Sarah's got Pettit hands down. I'm going Beam. I'm going Beam. I'm going with the position play. I'm going with the position player.
Tom with the hot takes.
Nice. Bench press. That's what we should put a poll out. Bench press contest. Who wins, Pettit or Beam? I got Beam. That's my call. I'm going with the guy who's got the sleeve tattoo and just put on the weight. I'm going with him.
Fair enough. He's got the momentum, I guess.
He does. I mean, I don't know what Pettit's training regimen's like in the offseason, but we'll see about that. Then Wild's the comment here. Does he break camp in 240 pounds weight drop? I know throughout the season his weight is going to drop because that happens to a lot of players, particularly sometimes even pitchers. I'd see him dropping down. He could drop depending what his meal plan is, or also what his water intake is throughout the day. It could drop anywhere between 10, 15 pounds. I say he drops in the 230, 225 range. Yeah, throughout the season, not spring training. I'm talking. Again, they are in the heat of Arizona.
Yeah, that's very seeable, honestly, especially running around the outfield, right? If you're running around the outfield so much, you're going to get your cardio in for sure, bro.
Skip leg day. Don't skip leg day.
Don't skip leg day. Otherwise, Zach Veen will come find you and he'll make you put on 40 pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've reached the end of that segment. So, Chris, any final thoughts before we wrap things up here in this episode of the show?
Yeah, I really do like the outfield. Like I said, of the 4 position groups, I think it is the second strongest that we have on the team. There's just a lot to like there with the tools, offensively and defensively. Warren, if he wants to do this whole mix and match thing, which it seems like he's going to want to do in 2026, just based on the certain situations that might pop up in games, he's got a lot of solid options to pick from. So kudos to the new front office, for giving him pieces that he can now go out and use effectively. I like Warren as a manager, and I like the pieces that he has to work with in the outfield.
Well, we do have them in the top two. I have them as the number one strength. We shall see. I like the depth. There are, just like every position group, there are question marks. I just think there's maybe fewer in the outfield, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to watch it play out. And I'm also interested to see how the playing time is divvied up among the outfielders as games start going. So they've got that figured out, who starts, who comes in later, etc. So we'll see.
Yep.
Baseball is back in our lives.
Oh, it's so great, isn't it? It's so amazing.
As we get closer, and remember, there's still a few guys who could be a late signing. I don't know if we're going to bring anybody in at this point, so we'll have to wait and see if there's any minor league depth added as the season progresses, because you guys start getting let go, put on waivers, etc. We'll see.
Yeah, minor league contracts, probably. I think we still have a few positions we need to fill in AAA, but I'd be very surprised if they signed any more position players or pitchers to this roster. We don't need any more. This is like, at this point, you've put Bryant and Criswell on the 60-day IL. It's like, who else from this 40-man are you going to release to make room to sign someone? You know?
I really don't have anybody, whether I think especially on the position player front, you don't have that one person. Okay, we can get rid of him. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're locked. We're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that is going to do it for this episode of the Rockies Now podcast. Again, next, I think, Chris, we have our infield preview. That'll be our next one.
Infield preview next Tuesday. Better believe.
Oh, should we also talk about this Thursday's show, or are we just going to wait until we post the topics of conversation?
I guess so. Yeah, they'll have to wait. We'll have to leave them in the dark for a little bit.
We'll leave Thursday's show. We'll leave them pondering it.
Mm-hmm. What could it possibly be? Yeah.
We shall see. Well, let's not. We'll tell you as Thursday gets closer, you'll find out that one. Anyway, so we'll wrap this up. So thank you to everybody for tuning in and participating in the chat. We always appreciate that. It's fun. Be sure, if you are not already, or any of your friends or family members who are also Rockies fans or just baseball fans in general, please be sure to follow us on our Instagram, X, and Threads page. Again, Chris and my Twitter /X handles are right down here in the lower corner of the screen. So be sure, if you want to send us a message just to talk about baseball or talk about anything Rockies related or baseball related, because again, we do have an interesting topic of conversation looming as this season ends, but we'll get to that at a later date. But anyway, also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as more content comes out, whether it's episodes. We're also going to be posting player highlights, so be sure to tune in, hit that subscribe button so you get updates on more content. So that'll do it for this episode of the Rockies Now podcast. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and as always, go Rockies.